Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Crime Family. I'm your co host, AJ, and I'm here with my sister and fellow co host, Lisa. It is going to be just the two of us this week because Katie is unfortunately sick. Her entire household is sick. It's that time of year. So she is taking the week off. So we are going to just continue with Lisa and I. Lisa is actually going to be leading us through this case, and it is going to be a two-part episode because it is a pretty interesting one and there's different theories out there. So we wanted to make sure we could take the appropriate amount of time to be able to discuss it. So we felt like two parts would be better. So we are going to do part one this week, and then next week we're going to follow with part two. So Lisa is going to be leading us through this. She didn't really want me to do any research or anything about the case that much before because she wanted to sort of be telling us or telling me about this case and me hearing it for the first time and get my genuine reactions to hearing it for the first time. So I don't really know too much about this. Without further ado, Lisa is going to take it away.
Okay, so this is the case of the Springfield Three. I don't know if you have ever heard of it, EJ. I think you said you didn't. But this is probably the first true crime case I ever remember hearing about. I think it was on an Unsolved Mysteries episode when I was quite young. And yes, it just always stuck with me. So it takes place in Springfield, Missouri, small city in southwestern Missouri. So the story centers around three people: 19-year-old Suzie Streeter, 18-year-old Stacy McCall, and 47-year-old Sherill Levitt, who is Suzie's mom. So on the evening of June 6th, 1992, 19-year-old Suzie and 18-year-old Stacy, they had a lot to celebrate. They had just graduated high school from Kickapoo High School. Suzie and Stacy had actually been best friends for a long time. Way back in second grade, they met. And throughout their childhood and teenage years, they went through various stages of being close and then not being close. Months before high school graduation, they had started to become closer again. So while attending Kickapoo High School, Stacy worked as a secretary and receptionist for Springfield Gymnastics, and she was preparing to attend Southwest Missouri State University in the latter half of '92. She was the youngest of three daughters. She was a daddy's girl, according to her mom Janice, and she was described as a giggly girl and had the nickname Spacey Casey. She was always kind of in her own little world a lot of the time. Suzie Streeter was incredibly close with her mom, and she never really knew her father. So it was just Suzie and her mom Sherill for the most part. Growing up, her and her mom were incredibly close. She would not have much of a relationship with her stepdad or her biological dad after him and her mom got divorced in 1989. In school, Suzie would struggle with certain aspects of her studies. She kind of fell in with the wrong crowd for a bit in high school, but by her senior year, she seemed to have straightened out. She worked at a movie theater, and she actually had a sight set on following in her mom Cheryl's footsteps and becoming a cosmetologist. In her free time, she loved bowling, watching movies, and gossiping about boys with her close friend Stacy. Cheryl was a private person. She was a hairdresser in 1992 and had over 250 clients and was considered a model employee. She was twice divorced. She divorced from her first husband shortly after Suzie's birth. She moved into an apartment in Seattle and stayed home with Suzie and Bart. So the Suzie has a brother named Bart. Stayed there with Suzie and Bart for 6 months, and then her and her two kids moved to the Springfield area in 1980 from Seattle. And they actually had just moved into this house on East Elmer Street, the house where this all kind of takes place. They had just moved into this house in April of '92, so about 2 months before this all happens. So those are the three kind of main subjects of this story. So during the day of Saturday, June 6, 1992, like I said, McCall and Streeter had graduated from Kickapoo High School. So the two had, along with several of their friends, had plans to hop around from party to party that night in celebration. Stacy had dinner with her family earlier in the night and then rushed home to change and meet Suzie. So the original plan that night, they were going to drive to Branson. Her and a few friends were going to drive to Branson, which is a town about an hour away from Springfield. They were going to stay at a hotel, and then go to a water park called Whitewater the next morning. So that was the plan when they each set out for the parties. So Stacy and Suzie each drove their own car to their friend Janelle's house. They arrived at Janelle's house between 8 to 8:30 And a short time later, all the girls, there was Janelle, Suzie, and Stacy and another friend, they walked from Janelle's home to another graduation party, and they all left their vehicles at Janelle's house. So the night has begun. They go to the first party. So over the next few hours, they would be seen at a couple different graduation parties, and over the course of the night, plans changed a few times. The first change of plans happens when Stacy calls her mom around 10:30 that night, and she lets them know that she's going to stay at Janelle's house instead of driving to Branson that night. So instead of driving out that night, they're just going to wait till the next morning to go to the water park. So she's just going to stay at Janelle's house. So that's the first change of plans. So at around 1:45 a.m., the current party that they are at break up, and the girls begin walking back to Janelle's house. Once they get to Janelle's house, they realize there really isn't a lot of room because it was graduation. Janelle's extended family had come down to stay. There were no available beds. Janelle's mom had made them a makeshift bed on like this pallet, but they just felt bad. They didn't want to impose on Janelle's family, so this is when they change plans and they say, actually, we're gonna stay at Suzie's house instead. We don't want to impose on Janelle. We're just gonna go to Suzie's and we'll all meet up in the morning to go to Whitewater. So that's the new plan. So Suzie and Stacy each get into their own vehicles at Janelle's house, and it's reported that someone inside the house actually says that they could hear Suzie say to Stacy, "Follow me to my house," with Stacy replying, "Okay, I will." So Suzie pulls out of the driveway first and drives away, and then Stacy follows behind her at around 2:15 a.m. And this would be the last time either of them are ever seen from or heard from again.
And
Um,
Janelle just stayed at her place, you
yeah,
said?
Janelle stays there, and multiple people at like inside Janelle's house have heard saw them leave and heard them say, "I'm gonna follow you to the like." So that was just the last time they were ever seen when the cars pull out of the driveway.
And so I just had a question. I'm assuming you probably would have mentioned it if it was the case, but in the phone calls, you said that she called her mom and said that they had changed their plans, that they were gonna like stay at Janelle's. So was everything there was nothing reported that was like sketchy about the call? Like she didn't sound weird. Like she just sounded normal, right? Like nothing.
No, so there's a Crime Watch episode I watched with Janice, Stacy's mom says, Stacy just called at 10:30 saying that they had to change of plans. They were going to stay at Janelle's house. Stacy's mom was actually relieved about that. Stacy's mom didn't want them to drive that night. Late at night, it was graduation. There could be a lot of drunk driving. She was worried about a car accident, so she was relieved when Stacy called and said, "We're gonna stay at Janelle's house and go out early in the morning." And everything sounded fine. There's been no mention if either of the girls were intoxicated.
Yeah, that was gonna be
There
my
was
next
never,
question. Was
yeah,
like they
there
were
was never
drinking,
mention.
I'm
I mean, I'm
assuming.
sure they were, but it's never been mentioned
Yeah. Because it's weird, like she was like
until later. I will say.
okay. Because I was gonna say, like you said, she was kind of like she didn't want them driving out because there could be drunk drivers and stuff. But it's like maybe they were drunk drivers. They were
Yeah, like I
drinking.
don't, and they drove home, each got into their own cars. I mean, I would like to think an adult wouldn't let them drive drunk. I don't know.
But it is also to the early '90s. Maybe there's not as much awareness. Like I'm sure a lot more people drove drunk
Yeah,
then than now.
and it was a very quick drive back to Sherill Levitt's house. Yeah, no one really mentions heavy intoxicated or anything. I don't know, but that's just anyway. Yeah, so they head out to Cheryl's house, and that's kind of it. Like that's like the known events of the night before. So that's where it ends until the next morning is kind of where there's a lot of conflicting reports like about time and stuff, but this is what I was able to gather. The next morning, um, friends start calling um, Suzie's house and stays like Suzie's and Cheryl's house because they're supposed to meet up to go to Whitewater, and this is obviously before cell phones and stuff. So they just call the home phone, get the answer machine. No one's answering. So this is when Janelle Kirby, the friend from the before that they were going to stay at her house, Janelle Kirby and her boyfriend decided to go over to Suzie's house to get them, thinking they had just overslept or something. So they get to the house around noon after calling the house since 9 with no answer. So they get there around noon. So when they arrive, they see all three cars, Stacy, Suzie, and Cheryl's cars in the driveway. So they go to the door, and as soon as they get to the door, they see the first thing that's a little strange. They see a smashed The porch light, the porch bulb, like there's a globe that was on the front porch and that smashed on the doorstep. But the porch light is still on. And they
So
find
yeah,
that
the light bulb wasn't broken, but just the
no, it's like
globe
the globe
around
that
it.
whole
Yeah.
yeah, that's smashed on the doorstep. That's a little strange, but there's a broom right there, and they're like, oh, we don't want anyone to step on this when they get home, so they just clean it. They clean it up and they just throw it over the hedge. Um, and they're like, um, that's just their instinct. They do that, not thinking that that could be evidence of some sort. So they do that, and then they knock on the door and ring the doorbell a few times, and there's no answer. So then they try the door, and it's unlocked, and that's not suspicious to them. It's 92. They even lots of people in that small city said at that time all the doors were unlocked. No one ever locked the doors, so they didn't think anything of it. That the door's unlocked, okay. So they go in, and they don't see any of the girls, but they see the family dog and Cinnamon. He's like a small Yorkshire Terrier, and the dog seems clearly agitated or stressed. But there doesn't seem to be anything amiss. The dog is just frantic. Nothing looks suspicious at all. All the girls' belongings are there, though. It's later said that like all three purses are lined up by the living room. I also saw reports that they were lined up on the stairs. But anyway, all three purses are lined up neatly, which is a little odd. And the TV's on, but it's all fuzzy, so it looks like maybe they had watched a movie and then they never turned it off.
So creepy.
Yeah.
So creepy. If you walk in and there's like a fuzzy TV on, that's like
Yeah, it's
horror
like The
movie
Ring.
stuff. Yeah, yeah.
So, but nothing else is amiss. It's just no sign of the girls. And so they're looking around, and this is when the phone rings. So Janelle picks up the phone, thinking it's maybe them or something, and there's a man on the other line, and he starts making sexual comments and these gross noises right away. So she hangs up, and the phone rings again. So Janelle picks it up, and it's the same man, and she hangs it up again. The phone rings a third time and they don't answer it, so it goes right to the answer machine. So by this point, a couple more people have come to the house looking for the girls because this is a huge graduation trip to Whitewater and they're not there. So everyone's kind of like looking for Suzie and Stacy. So one of the people at the house listens to the message and deletes it, thinking it's a post-graduation prank. There's been a lot of prank calls. Suzie said there had been a lot of prank calls leading up to this day. So they delete it. It's a gross prank call. They just deleted, not thinking anything of it. So by this point, there's no sign of the girls. So Janelle and some of the friends decide to go get something to eat, and they think maybe the girls did the same, and they'll be back later, and they'll reconvene and head to the park later. So they go out. They go out to eat, and they leave not overly worried. They're just a little perplexed if the girls went out to eat, why their purse is there and stuff. They're not worried.
Yeah, I feel like your purse would be something you would take with you if you're going out to eat, buy
Yeah.
food, unless their wallets are gone.
So at this point, no one has checked the purses. They just see purses. So maybe they're thinking they walk close, like all the cars are there. They grab the wallet and walk to grab some breakfast or something. So anyway, so some of them do the same. They try to go get something to eat. By this point, Nigel, who is Susie's best friend, she has arrived at the house. And she says, as soon as she got to the house, she noticed something off as soon as she arrived. So she says Susie's car was not parked in the usual spot. So Cheryl's house has like a semicircular driveway, and then there's a carport. Nigel says Suzie would usually park behind her mom's car in the carport if her mom was home. If her mom wasn't home, she would park in the circular driveway so her mom could get into the carport. But all three cars are in the circular driveway. None of them are parked in the carport, which is odd. So that's the first thing that she is suspicious about. A few other people arrive at the house and they go in, they see the same thing. They're kind of perplexed, but no one thinks anything of it. It's not until hours later that it becomes apparent something is not right. So family and friends of Stacy have been trying to get a hold of them and can't reach them. So this is at around 5:30 that Janice, which is Stacy's mom, goes to Sherill Levitt's house. And when she arrives, she sees the same scene, and she initially says in an interview, when she got to the scene and she's seen all three cars, she was relieved. Okay, they're home now. And so she gets into the house, and she sees the same thing, all the purses and everything. So, but Janice, unlike the other people, decides to go through the purses. She's just very confused. She wants to know, she wants to kind of look into this a bit. So she goes through the girls' purses, trying to find clues, I guess, to what happened to them. So what she finds $900 in cash in Cheryl's purse and her cigarettes, which is very strange because Cheryl, I guess, was a chain smoker and never went anywhere without her smokes. So that was like kind of a red flag going up as well.
Did you say $900?
Yeah,
Okay.
it was like a
Seems like a
money
lot.
order. Yeah, just cash. So, and then also what I should mention is during the course of the day, like family and friends, they said there was about 20 people in the house throughout the day. Some of the friends and family decided to clean up the house. Not like it was a mess, but they do dishes, they take the trash out, wipe the counters, just trying to be helpful. Not thinking at all it was a crime scene. And they also fixed like a awkwardly bent window blind. They just decided to do some repairs. So just they're passing time until the girls come. And during that time, they clean up a bit. So when the girls are still nowhere to be found by 9 or 10 p.m. that night, this is when Janice decides to call the police. But she was super hesitant about it. She actually says in that Crime Watch episode that 911 is for emergencies, and I was convinced they would come back any minute. It's actually like I think it's Stacy's dad that convinces her you need to call 911. So they get called 10 o'clock that night, after the girls had not been heard or seen from all day. So the police first get called, notified, and they're on their way. And while she's waiting, Janice checks the answer machine for possibly some clues, because it looks like the light's blinking, some messages. So this, like I said, there was some reports saying the friend had deleted the message. Some reports saying the mom, she listened to the message once and then it automatically got deleted. And then she was never able to show the police. And it was never revealed what was on that strange message. It was just a strange message. It was never actually also verified if it was the same guy that had made the prank calls. And it's just a very weird little piece of the puzzle.
So obviously no one did listen to it then. You said one of the thoughts was that if you listen to it once, it gets deleted. Because you'd think then the person who listened could at least say what was on it.
Yeah, no,
who
and
it
that's what's so
was.
weird. Like, there's news reports that say the mom deleted it by accident. Some people say it was never listened to. It got deleted without anyone listening to it. I don't know. It's just there was a message on an answer machine that was strange.
Yeah.
Whoever listened to it.
You think it getting deleted by accident is probably more legit because, like I said, if because you said, or I think back in those days, if you once you listen to it, it automatically deletes. Like that's just the way they were set up. So it's like if someone did listen to it, they could then tell the police what was on it. But the fact that no one came forward and said what it was, and no one knows, clearly no one listened to it.
And later on, the police would go on to say that they think the race message could be a clue, but that they don't believe that the prank calls were part of it. So it could have been two different people. So it looks, I don't know if the police actually, like, it's very confusing if the police had listened to the message or someone had told them about it. I don't know why it's not straightforward about how the message was deleted, but it's
yeah.
I don't know who deleted it, who listened to it, if the cops actually did, if it was tweets. But anyway, there was a strange message, regardless.
Mm-hmm. And I guess back then you couldn't retrieve deleted. Like you think the police,
so it's gone forever.
Like now, police could, like even a voicemail that's deleted. I'm sure there's some technology that can retrieve a deleted message.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah.
So the fact that, I mean, obviously back then they couldn't, but it just seems so annoying that like that could be the clue to everything, and just happened to get deleted, probably by accident.
And there's a lot of that in this case. I feel that coincidences are just just a lot of things that like accidentally happen, like mistakes that could have helped the case and stuff like that.
The person got lucky, like whoever did it got lucky that certain things happen.
Yeah. I mean, this person is one of the luckiest people ever. When the way this case unfolds, really.
Well, also, the thing that to me stands out super weird is the broken light on the porch.
Yeah.
To me, the fact that like how that gets broken is weird. Also, the fact that they cleaned it up. I mean, maybe that's not so weird that they were like, let's just clean it up or get it out of the way so no one steps on it. But like then they chuck it over the fence or the hedge or whatever. Is weird.
Yeah, they chuck it over into the hedge, which the dentist's office was next door, I guess. So they just we'll throw it in that parking lot, bust a tire.
Someone can step on it there or run over it with their tire there. But
I don't know why they did that.
But the fact that it's broken is really weird. Like just because to me the first thing that stands out when you say that is I'm thinking it's like a struggle. Like someone's getting carried out of the house and they're like flailing their arms or legs and like kicks it by accident.
And someone mentioned like, oh, they did that to take the light to make it dark, but the light was still on in the morning.
Yeah, that was another thing I thought too. Like maybe they wanted it more dark, but the light's still on, so that didn't.
It's just
So it's like,
closed.
to me, it's like accidentally got broken somehow.
Yeah, like on a struggle on the way out of the house, perhaps.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Because why, like, if you're intentionally trying to break it, why would you just break that and not the light bulb itself?
Yeah, I don't know.
So
Um,
that's weird. I think, like,
or they broke the light to get a weapon, glass shard as a weapon or something. I don't know.
yeah,
But like you go into that house anyway. If you go into the house to do harm when you have a weapon, anyway, there's a lot of like,
yeah. Why
there's
would
a
you
lot
not
of
think of the weapon until you're there and breaking that? Like, that's
right.
weird.
So I mean, the porch light. A lot of people fixate on it when I read on Reddit and stuff. Like, it's just odd. It's just it's. I mean, this case is the strangest for many reasons, but that was just it's just weird. It's just eerie too that it's still the light's still on, but the bulb is smashed. I don't know. It's like
Yeah.
it's just an odd piece of the puzzle that no one really knows where it fits.
But
Really.
couldn't the police, did they go and like recover the glass? Like, if they just threw it across the thing, like, the police might still be there. The police can pick it up and gather because it probably has evidence on it. Maybe. Or it might have evidence. I
You
don't
know
know.
what? It never says at all.
So maybe they did and it didn't yield anything, so it's not mentioned. Or maybe they didn't and it's incompetence. But you think they
Yeah,
would mention that if it's incompetence, like the
yeah,
police never checked it, which is
yeah.
crazy.
Um,
Because you think someone would have told them, like, oh, what did the house look like when you arrived? And they would have said, oh,
well,
the light
yeah,
was
yeah,
broken.
yeah.
And they would have been like, well,
So
where's the glass? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's like a natural conversation that you would have.
yeah,
And the
you
fact,
know,
I don't know.
there's another thing. It's another thing. That's another conflict. Some people said that they threw it in the trash inside the house. Other people said they threw it over the fence. More people have said they threw it over. So I don't know. Maybe they did throw it in the trash and they could retrieve it from the trash in the sink in the kitchen.
But why would they not know that?
I don't know. And that's like you said. There's so many reports conflicted. I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that there were 20 people in that house throughout the day and their stories are all. Everyone's stories are a little. You know, relay a day differently than the next person.
Yeah. But the person who
Um.
did it should know
Yeah.
whether
I
they
don't
threw it
know.
over the fence or that they threw it in the garbage. Like, you think they'd be
It's
able
just.
to, 20 people is, yes,
I
it's a
know.
lot,
It's
but
so weird.
it's not like so many people that they couldn't individually interview 20 people and ask. But maybe it was like an insignificant, like, you think, like, when you're kind of going just about your day, you're not taking mental note of everything. And then, like, the craziness that happens with, like, the disappearance and, like,
Yeah.
the stress, maybe you forgot that you did it.
Yeah.
So no one remembered even doing it. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, it's an interesting piece of the puzzle, but it's never really touched on. Like, was it collective? Like, was it tested or, So that's just a strange part of it. But okay, so when the police do arrive, it says that so there was a press release that was released in May of 2022 from the Springfield Police Department. This is where I got this from. It says that on officers' arrival, the house showed no signs of struggle, but rather the appearance of the missing woman being abducted. So right away, they think abduction. So like before, it said all personal property was left behind, including purses, money, clothing, cars, keys, cigarettes, and the family dog. Poor thing. Um, it goes on to say Suzie's mother, which is Sherill, she was last heard from at approximately 11:15 p.m. On the night before, June 6th. She was talking with a friend about painting a chest of drawers. So that's the last one she was heard from. So Levitt's car, purse, keys, etc. left at the residence, and it does appear as though her bed had been slept in. So when friends and police arrived to check the residence, they both said it looked like she hadn't slept in the bed for a little bit at least the night before. So there was no signs of a struggle except for the smashed porch light, and none of the neighbors reported seeing anything suspicious. I did read that back then the house they didn't have a lot of neighbors close to the house. It looked like it was like kind of like working buildings and like not a lot of neighbors back then. So there maybe but was no one around to hear anything. Again, just another lucky. They got a lucky break. Whoever did it. So there's no signs. Yeah, so none of the neighbors reported seeing anything suspicious. So they tell Stacy's mom, Janice, almost right away. They're going to make a report. They're going to make a report and file it as a missing persons. And they also said right off the bat they suspected foul play. So the police immediately treat this as a crime scene, but it's so contaminated because of the cleanup earlier from the friends and family. But because of the strangeness of the whole case and the circumstances and the fact that there's 3 missing people, not just 1, by day 3, the FBI do become involved. So they become involved pretty quickly. And this is when Janice, Stacy's mom, makes and prints out missing posters and puts them all over town. And this is when the media dubbed them the Springfield Three. So by June 10th, more than 20,000 missing posters are hung up all over Springfield, and to this day, some of those missing posters are still in the storefronts in Springfield, like 33 years later. So by June 14th, officials and volunteers began searching wooded and remote areas, but nothing. They don't find anything at this point. And then community-wide searches are conducted. Divers inspect Lake Springfield and a stretch of the James River. And then investigators start running polygraph tests on all the people that are close to the woman. But nothing pops up at that point. So the police the police have a timeline that they established, and they say that the 3 women disappeared between 2:15 and 8, which is a weird timeline because it says on other sites that that no one got to the house and no one first arrived at the house until noon. So wouldn't it be 2:15 until noon? But but this is what the police say: 2:15 to 8 a.m. on June 7th.
Maybe they're going based on the fact that like someone would have seen something if it was during the day, like there's more people around. Like anytime after 8, it's not really.
Yeah, I guess I'm also
likely.
thinking like 8 and 8:30 or 9, depending on sources. That's when people first started to call, and there was no answer. So maybe that's when they realized. That's the first sign that maybe no one was there at 9. That's my guess.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
So, and then we know, I was going to say, initially I was going to say probably anytime after 11:15, like you said, Sherill last was heard from, but the girls were seen after that.
I mean,
they didn't go
this
home
is the
till
thing,
later.
like something could have happened to Sherill right after she hung up, and then the girls were last seen around 2:15 a.m. But Sherill was last heard from 11:15. So it could, yeah. So. Yeah, and I mean, we go into that later, but unless something happened to Sherill first. Anyway, it's just that's at 2:15 is when the girls last seen. That's just what it comes down to. So that is kind of that's like the crux of the story. Like this is so. What do you think about that so far?
Yeah, it's
before
weird.
we get into like leads and stuff.
Yeah, really weird. Obviously,
Yeah.
like I already said, my first thought was the porch light thing was weird. The TV being on, like static, was weird. The purses being lined up is weird. Like if the porch light hadn't been smashed, you could say, well, that's the only thing that makes it a sign of a struggle at all, was the porch light, because everything else was like so in place. So you're thinking like if the porch light came off because of a struggle, why is there nothing else that's out of place?
Yeah.
Also because of a struggle. Like if you're carrying someone out of the house, you'd think there'd be something else amiss that they hit. If they're flailing enough to knock down the light, like they could also be.
And a FBI profiler and stuff do go into why that may be later. But yeah, I mean, super strange right off the bat, I think. It's not often that 3 people go missing in the blink of an eye and all the car and no sign of a struggle.
Yeah.
I find that weird.
Yeah, and also the thing you said too about the fact that nobody was like the 3 cars weren't in the garage or in the carport, but like so that means that there was another car maybe parked there.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
That car is gone.
Did Sherill have a visitor and that was in the carport? That's why Sherill didn't park there, so the person could get out. And then when Stacy and also it's like talk about this later, but Stacy and Suzie weren't supposed to be at that house. Like they were supposed to go to Branson, and then they were going to go to Janelle's, and then they go. Like Stacy's mom didn't even know she was at Suzie's until she calls Janelle's house in the morning and says, can I talk to Stacy? Because Stacy had said she was staying at Janelle's, and Janelle tells her, no, actually they went to Suzie's late last night instead. So no one knew, and I don't even know if Suzie had called Sherill and say, hey mom, we're going to be home. Like maybe Sherill didn't even know they were home. Maybe she was sleeping when they got home. I don't know. Maybe she knew. Like she woke up and the girls came home and they all went to bed, said goodnight. I don't know, but
Or they thought she was sleeping when they got home.
Yeah, and it begs the question, like, well, who was someone there when they got home at 2? Was someone in the carport park when they got there at 2:15? In the morning, 1 to 3, whenever they got there. So yeah, it's just so many questions. It's just very strange.
Yeah, I mean, my thought is that somebody came over after she hung up the phone. After Sherill hung up the phone, maybe she was seeing someone, who knows, or maybe it was someone she knew. Whatever, came over, parked in the the garage or the carport or whatever. And then maybe that person did something to Sherill, and then the girls came home and like walked in kind of in the middle of it. And that's why they also were taken or something happened to them because
It's just
they
like
had seen this
where like
person.
where did
But
he do
also,
something to Cheryl though? There was no blood. There was no no sign of any attack ever happening in that home. So where did he put like did he put her in the van? That was maybe he maybe had a van and he put her like and then he went to clean up. I don't know if you would. I mean, I guess you would try to clean up.
but I think
Yeah, I don't
if it
know.
was someone that she knew, then it could be very easily could have gotten her into the van under like a false pretense. Like
Yeah,
she went willingly, like if she knows this
yeah,
person, they went
yeah,
somewhere, but then also the girls going too. I
yeah,
don't know. Cause like,
yeah,
or maybe, but I was going to say maybe like this person poisoned her. So there wouldn't be a sign of a struggle. Like if she had taken something
yeah,
and then she just
and
like passed out or whatever. And then he takes her out of the house. But then also the
yeah.
two did the same thing to the two girls. I don't know. Cause there's a whole scenario of them like walking into the house. We don't even know that they got into the house
Well,
necessarily. Well, their purses are there though, I guess. So they did.
yeah. So it says so. So first responding officer, his name is Rick Bookout. He said, in his opinion, it looks like the girls had come home. They went into the bedroom and they did get ready for bed. So they did make it home, and
But how does he know they got ready for bed?
so it says. So it says it was reported that based on the items in the home, it seems Stacy and Suzie had already gotten ready for bed at the time they disappeared. Their jewelry was left in the bathroom, along with damp cloths that were believed to have been used to wipe the face, wipe the makeup off. Stacy's shorts were folded and sitting on top of his shoes. Cheryl's bed looked like it had been slept in, and all her personal belongings were left behind. Another police officer, Tony Glenn, he said that the only thing unusual about the house was that there was 3 women missing from it. He said you just had this feeling that something was missing, that something had to be missing, but there wasn't. It was just them missing. Like there was nothing that pointed to where they possibly could be. So it also said Stacy's shorts were folded and sitting on top of his shoes. So Stacy didn't even have shoes. They went out. So they went out in their pajamas. I'm guessing, like what
Well, and
they.
these were clothes and jewelry that they were known to have been wearing that night.
I'm guessing. I mean, I
Like
don't
maybe that
know.
was other, because I was thinking
Yeah,
if that was the stuff people said they knew they were wearing and the jewelry was very specific. Like
and it
otherwise,
could.
they might not have even made it into the house, or though their
Yeah,
purses were there. So obviously they did. I don't
yeah.
know.
Everyone says that they made it to the house. That was never disputed upon.
Okay, so obviously there was nothing happening at the time they got to the house because
Right.
they got into the house, got ready for
Went
bed,
for
put their
bed.
pajamas
Everything
on,
was
like
yeah,
yeah. But like something could. That's what I'm saying. Maybe it's something. Like, I don't know, because I'm thinking, like, maybe somebody came over, like, maybe something happened to Sherill and it was happening in Cheryl's room. Like, maybe
yeah,
this person was in there with her. She was maybe unconscious or dead in the room. They didn't know that. They just come home. It's late. They assume she's
yeah,
sleeping. They go upstairs. And then, like, this person that's in the house is maybe, like, freaking out and then has to, like, come up with, and then somehow does something where there's also no struggle from them.
right.
So maybe which makes me think there's more than one person. Because that's a lot for one person to do. Like, 3 people.
And like no, be honest, up do go into that later about what they think, how many people. It's just perplexing for sure. I don't even. This is why it's one of the most mystifying cases out there. I
Yeah, because
mean,
also, and if there was someone parked in the if there was another car there, you think that maybe would they maybe have been suspicious of that, like when they came
yeah,
home, like the 2
and I feel
girls,
like yeah,
but maybe not. Maybe they knew. Maybe her mother was seeing someone and they knew that car.
yeah. So there's a theory that comes up that actually kind of could be plausible that I found out, but I'll go into that a little later. But yeah, I mean, it's just, and of course, back in '92, there is no dash door cam. There is no cell phone records. There is no phone towers, really. You know what I mean? To track cellular
Yeah,
movements.
and even DNA might even still be relatively new. Like I know
Yeah,
it's around, I
and there
believe
was
then, but
nothing to collect. I mean, there was 20 other people in that house that day, but also like Cheryl and Susie could have people over all the time. How did they know? Anyway, there was no way to tell if DNA whose DNA to even follow.
well, I want to
I don't
know
know.
whose DNA. I feel like that's why the glass shards are important.
Yeah,
That person, I mean, if it was in a struggle and it was like one of the girls' hands or feet that like broke it off, then it would have their maybe DNA. Wouldn't have
yeah,
necessarily the person's, but
yeah,
still a good place to look. That's why that was one of my first questions. Like, well, where's the glass? Who tested
yeah.
it? Like, what came up out of that? But nothing.
And I feel like if something significant came from it, it would be noted. But
Yeah. That's why I'm thinking either they did test it and nothing, but usually they say that. Like, usually they'll say nothing, tests were run. Like, you know what I'm
yeah,
saying?
yeah,
The fact that it's just not mentioned at all is weird. That makes me think that
yeah,
they didn't even test it or even look at
yeah,
it or think about it. Because
yeah,
you think usually it would say the glass was tested, nothing came of it, or no leads were produced.
yeah. Because they do talk about other things that do get tested later on, but there's just it's just a weird. It's just a thing that a lot of people fixate on is that broken porch bulb. What does it
Yeah, because
mean?
that's
It
not
doesn't mean
normal.
anything. It's just yeah. I don't know. Maybe it was broken before and no one cleaned it up. I don't know. Um, but anyway,
Yeah,
um,
weird.
or maybe like Stacy and Suzie got home and they were drunk and they broke it by accident. Like she like was taken off. Like they broke it by accident because they were trying to get into the door and they hit it or something. I don't know how low it was. You know what I mean? Like maybe it broke from them and they were just drunk and they like, oh, we'll clean in the morning. I
Yeah,
don't know.
but we'll never know that.
We will never know.
Yeah, it's annoying.
So there were about 5,000 tips right away. As soon as this is like announced that these girls are going missing. So 2 weeks passed. There's still no sign of the woman, but this is when the cops first get the first significant break. A person calls in and says she thinks she saw Suzie or a person looking like Suzie driving a van the morning they went missing. So the van was described as an older model avocado green panel van. I think later on it said that it was a Ford van. And the person says she saw the van 2 miles away from Cheryl's house. And the witness says that Suzie looked scared and that she heard a man yelling at Suzie from the back seat, something along the lines of, "You better keep driving if you know what's good for you." So the police stop lots of vans matching the description and ID various people. Police even park a lookalike van in front of their station, hoping it will jog someone's memory when they see it. But this lead about the van hits a dead end and goes nowhere, basically. Additional witnesses then come forward saying they saw this van in different areas of Springfield after the woman's disappearances. Another man told police that he saw a blonde female sitting in the driver's seat of a similar vehicle in the parking lot of a grocery store. The man said that he wrote the van's license plate number down on a newspaper as the vehicle seemed suspicious, but the man threw the paper away before contacting investigators. So police hypnotized this guy. He was only able to provide the plate's first 3 digits, which I feel like, start there and then interview everyone that has the first 3 digits.
Yeah, like the first 3 digits that match in the same car, similar car.
I mean,
cross-reference that.
That's my first stop. I mean,
Yeah, because there's only going to be so many cars that match that description and also have the
like even
first
getting
same 3
3 digits
digits.
of a 6-digit plate. That's pretty good, I think.
Yeah, you've eliminated 50% or way more than that.
Right.
I don't know how many combinations of license plate there are, but the first 3 digits in that order, that's pretty narrowed field.
But
and it's only going to have certain ones. Like only what are the chances of several cars of that description having the first same 3 digits?
right.
Like that's going to be very small chance. So
Yeah.
I feel like that would be a logical thing to do.
Yeah. Anyway.
That's weird.
Yeah.
That's weird.
So then that's one of the tips that they follow. And then there's a server at a steakhouse, which was actually one of Cheryl's favorite places in Springfield to eat. This server reported seeing all 3 women in the steakhouse between 1 o'clock and 3 o'clock a.m. on this night. The employee said that Sherill, Suzie, and Stacy arrived and left together. And she said that Suzie appeared drunk or intoxicated, and Sherill was trying to calm her down. However, police never ever confirmed that this was a true sighting.
Was there someone else with them?
Nope, just the 3 women going out at 1 to 3 for steak, I guess.
And without their purses.
Yeah. Maybe there's no security cameras that they could check. There was never confirmed that these girls were actually there that night.
Yeah. Or maybe they were there and then they went home after and something happened after they got home.
I just don't think you wake your mom up at 1 o'clock to go for a steak.
Maybe she was awake already. It's weird though, regardless. Even if it was them. I'm just thinking like, yeah, because I was thinking why would they be going there without their purses? But maybe they went home after this sighting and then something happened then. But because also that's a really weird thing for the server to make up. Like, so is the implication then that the server lied? Or she's misremembering it was someone else and she thinks it's them?
I don't
But
know.
how could you misremember that? It's 3 people and you know what they look like.
It just says please never confirm this. I mean.
Yeah, that's weird.
Yeah. So that's another lead that kind of goes nowhere.
Also, that lead about the person in the back seat, like Suzie driving
Yeah.
and the person in the
Yeah.
back seat and Suzie looks scared. Like that seems like legit.
Yeah.
And it's just
But
frustrating that nothing came from that.
yeah.
Do you think that was a true sighting?
No. I don't
Mm.
know. I feel like I don't know. I always struggle with you. Why wait 2, 3 weeks to come forward? You
Yeah,
know.
but that always happens. That happens all the time, though.
I
People come
guess
forward
I don't.
years later.
I feel like um, if you did see that, why didn't you call the cops right then and there? It looks like something's happening that's not right.
Yeah, even if it's not
Um,
these women,
like
it's still
yelling at
someone.
someone. If you better keep going if you know what's good for you. I wouldn't let just. And she looks terrified. I'm not gonna be like, oh, they're just having a normal squabble.
Yeah, even if it's not these 3 women, it's still
Yeah.
someone that might
So I
need
don't know.
help.
I always, when people come forward saying they saw this weeks later and they didn't report it then, I always wonder if they not that they made it up necessarily, but they're trying to make it be those girls that they saw. You know, I think that should definitely be investigated.
Yeah.
Something was happening,
Maybe it
but
wasn't something like that intense in the moment, like, and then in their
yeah,
mind, they're, like,
maybe,
going back and they're exaggerating the details, like, they think
yeah,
these extra details happened that didn't. Like, maybe at the
yeah,
time, they remember seeing a woman and, like, a man in the back seat, but then all of a sudden, they unknowingly, their mind, like, filled in these extra details. I don't
yeah,
know. That's weird, but, I mean, it could happen.
yeah,
So, like, maybe
yeah,
because obviously, it's like, if she saw or if this person saw exactly what they described, you have no excuse not for calling the police right away. So I'm thinking maybe in the moment it wasn't something that was alarming,
yeah.
super alarming, but then in like hindsight, she's going back and like changing the details.
And
I
maybe
don't know.
because maybe when it came out that they're looking for this certain van, she might be like, "Holy crap! Like that's exactly like the van I saw this happening in." So maybe that made it come forward. Anyway, I don't know, but it was never. They could never find the owner of this van or anything to do with that van. They never found the exact van. One of the original investigators actually theorized that. So this is a theory that comes out that actually I think is quite plausible. Yeah, so it's like one of those investigators theorized that the woman's assailant took Cinnamon, the family dog, out of Cheryl's yard during the overnight hours of that night in an effort to try to gain access to the house. So they think that the attacker may have knocked on the door that night, like after the girls got home, pretending to have rescued the dog. Like, oh, they come home, the dog get missing, there's a knock on the door. And it has the dog saying, "Oh, I found this dog. I think it belongs to you." One of the women opened the door for this man. She was attacked, overpowered. That's a theory that one of the original investigators brings up. I mean, and I thought, like, why would I would never answer the door at 2 o'clock in the morning, but if my dog was missing, I would.
But there's no sign of a struggle though if they were attacked in the
Right.
doorway,
Uh,
except
But
the
but if
light.
but like I said, it makes sense. She opens up the door, and the guy's like, and then she gets attacked. The porch light gets broken. Happens on the porch, and then he gets. I don't know. Like she gets over. Like maybe he just has a gun. Quiets her, and that's why there is no struggle. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't
Well,
know. But
that's what I was going to say too before was like they could have been threatened. Like they could have been taken out of the house at
yeah,
gunpoint and they're not going to struggle. So that's why
yeah,
there's nothing out of place except the light.
yeah,
But
and
then that doesn't explain the
yes,
light getting
right,
broken. Like if they
yeah,
did leave without any type of struggle or fight, why is the light broken?
yeah.
But also, why the dog theory is weird to me. Like I don't know if I completely buy that because like,
Yeah, but it was
that's
interesting. I mean,
like it's a weird theory. Like oh, maybe the dog was taken as a ruse. Is that what you're saying? Like
like it's
someone came in and took the dog so that the wood be missing, and then they could go later and pretend they found the dog.
yeah, I don't know.
Like that's a
It has
weird,
yeah,
elaborate like thing to think of as a
yeah.
theory.
I
Like
just
why would they think that?
to me that would be the one thing, one of the most possible reasons why you would answer the door at 2 a.m.
Yeah, like I think it makes sense. Like that's something that someone could do, but it's just like a really
Yeah,
random theory for someone to think
like
happened.
it just happened to be the dog was out in the backyard. Like, and there's no reports that like maybe did Cheryl let the dog out? Was Cheryl up at like? There's no reports that Cheryl was calling around saying your dog's missing. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know,
That also doesn't
but
explain why the cars are parked not in the carport. Like I think
yeah,
it's more likely that it was someone that Cheryl knew that
yeah,
parked there,
yeah, and
came over
that's
and parked there.
Yeah, and that's what a lot of people think, like, including Nigel, like, Susie's best friend, she definitely thinks because there was no sign of a struggle, the person that took them knew them. And a few other police officers agree with that too.
I think if it being a random person, or I think it being someone that they know, kind of checks off a lot of the boxes. Like, explains why
Right.
there wouldn't be a struggle, why the cars aren't parked in there, like if there was another car parked there,
Yeah.
um, and why you would let somebody in and stuff like that. Like, all
Yeah.
of that would make sense if it was someone they knew.
Yeah. And, like, if Cheryl wasn't expecting the girls home that night, maybe she did have, like, a lover over or something, I don't know. You know?
Yeah, if she wasn't thinking the girls were gonna come over
Like, if
or
she's
come
in it,
back.
she's gonna she's just gonna, get wild that night. I'm just joking.
Yeah, yeah. And then
Yeah.
they
And
and then
there's been when they look into like, I go into this later about the relationships of the 3 women. Cheryl was a private person. There was no ever mention of any relationship she's had. She was a successful hairdresser. She hung out with her daughter. She had a few friends. Nothing, no nefarious characters in her. I mean, she was divorced twice, but I mean, there was nothing bad about that. Like, it was all fine and dandy.
I mean,
But
that we know
but
of.
yeah, and, like, maybe she just was had a secret she was online dating secretly. I don't know, like, she just don't want,
Probably not online dating in '92.
well,
But yeah.
I don't know, maybe she met someone, and she you don't always have to tell your kids, whatever.
And
Anyway, she
there's not gonna be as many, like, possibilities of, like, a paper trail as there would be now. Like,
yeah,
you could search someone's phone if they're on dating apps, or you could see text messages. Now, then none of that
yeah,
none of that could happen,
yeah,
right? So it's like, she would have probably been talking to this person in face to face or
yeah,
on the phone, but it's not easily as trackable or traceable, I guess.
yeah, yeah,
So I think maybe she did have a secret lover or something, and then that
yeah,
person maybe, and that's why no one in her that no one that she knew knows about this person, so they
yeah,
can't think, "Oh, this person's kinda sketchy, you should look into them," like,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
I don't know, I
So
think
I'll
that's
just talk. So I'm just gonna talk. I've been doing this already, but like I'll touch on some more like theories. Not, but this a couple I'll go into a little bit more. So the first leader theory is called the unknown man. So a neighbor reported to investigators that in the days leading up to the disappearances, there was a strange transient man in the area. But this neighbor, they did a composite sketch of this man. They even did like a photo lineup. And the neighbor failed to identify this guy, and the police don't even know still today if he holds any clues to the case. He was just a weird homeless man, apparently. Um, but that is a theory that is a lead that they kind of pursued for a bit. The unknown man. Another one is they look into Suzie Streeter's relationship. So I had mentioned earlier she kind of fell into a wrong crowd. She didn't always pick the best guys to go out with. So she had an ex-boyfriend named Dustin Ruckla, and so according to sources, he apparently when they broke up, he had a grudge against Suzie. Ruckla and his friend Michael Clay were actually facing vandalism and theft charges. Like, so they actually had robbed him on a mausoleum and was stealing like gold teeth from skulls, like the losers they are. And then when Suzie found out about this, she actually broke up with Dustin. And because she knew about this, Dustin and Michael believed that it was Suzie that ratted them out to the police. And Suzie actually had planned to testify them against them in court. I guess the court case was going to be a few months after the disappearances. So the police interviewed these two men, but they had alibis for the night. And then went questioned further. It was never explained what their alibis were, but it was good enough. They had rock solid alibis, and they weren't questioned further. But that was a lead for a while.
and I'm always very, suspicious of any alibis from old cases in the '90s. How rock
Yeah,
solid could an alibi be? It's just someone's word.
yeah,
It's not like
yeah,
now where you have, like, cell data or, like,
yeah,
surveillance footage that can actually put you somewhere. It's more so like, "Oh, they were at this other person's house or something, and this person said that's true."
yeah,
But I don't know. I mean, unless it was I mean, I guess there are other ways you can be accounted for in that, but, like,
yeah.
I don't know. I just feel like it's a little bit
I
shakier.
mean, unless he was in jail or the hospital, I feel like how else could it be? Unless I mean, he was see unless I mean, unless there was security camera from somewhere. I don't know how many security cameras are around in '92, but
Yeah.
it was enough for the police to be like, all right, and move on from them. So, but that was a strong theory. Another one is Bart Streeter. As you remember, Susie had a brother. He did not have a good relationship with his mom and sister. He actually suffered substance abuse issues, and he does not have a good relationship with mother or daughter. And actually, I don't think he was even allowed at the house. So he was estranged from the family, and he very quickly actually became police's number one suspect. And a lot of people believe Bart Streeter is the most credible suspect. But he had an alibi that both his girlfriend and neighbor confirmed. Once again, I do not know what the alibi is. Could not find it. I even typed it in. What was Bart Streeter's alibi? Nothing. Oh, he had an alibi that his girlfriend confirmed. Okay.
Yeah, but
And he
who
also
cares what the
but he also,
girlfriend confirms? I don't trust
yeah, I
that.
know, right. And he also passed a polygraph test. What we know now today don't mean anything. I think back in '92 there were a lot more people believed in them. Today, never do a polygraph. I'll tell you that now. It will always
Yeah.
go against you, no
Yeah,
matter what.
for anyone out there listening to this, PSA, never do a polygraph for any reason
Never. It's not
ever.
admissible in court anyway, so why do it?
Yeah. I mean, I know that your
You want to look innocent.
to do one, your refusal
Yeah,
to do one will make people think you did it,
yeah,
but it doesn't matter. Whatever, just don't do it.
yeah, yeah. So, but because he was cooperative, he offered to do a polygraph and he passed it. He was removed from the suspect list until years later. He actually got arrested again, and they started looking into him again for this. But like, once again, he was eliminated. And now it's also another one in 1992. So on New Year's Eve in 1992, some man calls America's Most Wanted hotline, and police actually believe this man had prime knowledge of the abductions. But the call was disconnected when it got switched over to a switchboard operator by accident. It just accidentally got disconnected when they tried to switch it over, and he never called again, and they never could trace him. So that's another thing. Like, he got luck, like circumstances, or something happened where
So they believe that
they.
person was the one who did it, or that person just
So
knew
like, I don't know what.
information.
Yeah, I don't know what was said on that. What this man said on the America's Most Wanted hotline. What he told police, but based on what he said, police believe that this guy really did know what he was talking about. But it was connected before when the switchboard operator tried to transfer it to the police or
But
to whoever.
why would you not call back? Like, you obviously
I don't
cared
know. That's
enough
the
to
thing.
call initially.
That's the weird thing. He never called back, and it, they never traced it. I mean, I don't know. By 1993, investigators announced they are looking at the possibility of a serial killer, which that's a whole thing that we will get into next time. And then at one point, they search a farm and find some items of interest. What they find has never been revealed to the public. They don't know why they went to this certain farm, but they did find some stuff that's never been revealed. But it still wasn't enough for them to even hone in on anybody, one person. In 2002, investigators went to a concrete company in Webster County after two women told police that there was men there who drove a green van, which appeared to look like the one the police were looking for. So cadaver dogs were brought in to hit on three spots, and bones were recovered. But after testing, it turned out to be far too old to belong to any of the three women.
Did they find out who
I'm
it
just
was?
it didn't say. I'm just gonna go quickly over prominent things over the years, and then just touching on certain dates that police got tips and stuff. In April 2003, there was a tip that led investigators to a farmland south of a place called Cassville. They dug two big holes, but unfortunately, they only found they found two pieces of possible evidence. Possible blood in the section of a green vehicle. Perhaps it was sections of that green van. Witnesses say they saw Suzie driving back in '92, but the blood was sent for testing, but the results came back inconclusive. Yeah, so that's I have three more kind of big theories that have a lot more to it that we can go into next time. But that's basically the timeline of things that happened up until So I think we'll wait until the next time to do those other ones. Sherill Levitt, she was 47 when she disappeared. She was 5 feet, 110 pounds. She had brown eyes, short bleached blonde hair. It was naturally curly hair, longer on top and short in the back, and she had a thin build and freckles on the neck and upper chest area. Stacy was 18. She was 5'3", 120 pounds. Blue eyes, dark blonde hair to the middle of her back with sunlighted ends, and she has freckles on her face and dimples in the middle of her chin. Suzie, 5'2", 102 pounds, brown eyes, straight bleach blonde shoulder-length hair, large teeth with no dental work. She has a 3.5-inch scar on top of her right forearm and a small tumor in the left corner of her mouth, which always gave the appearance that she has something in her mouth. So that's what they looked. That was them. That was a description of them when they disappeared. There is so it says Sherill would be 77 years old today. Suzie would be 49. And Stacy would be 48 years old. According to the Springfield Police Department, there's a reward fund of $42,000 that has been established for the location and prosecution of the persons responsible for the abduction of the three women. Back in the late 90s, Suzie and Sherill were actually declared dead, illegally dead by their relatives. Janice, Stacy's mom, and Stacy's family, they have not declared Stacy dead. They they will not do that until they find her or find evidence that she is dead. They believe there's hope. They believe Stacy's dad is now actually deceased, but Stacy's mom and family believe that they will find answers eventually. So it says anyone with information about the disappearance of Sherill Levitt, Suzie Streeter, and Stacy McCall is asked to contact the Springfield Police Department at 417-864-1810 or Crime Stoppers at 417-869-TIPS. And there's also an age progression photo that I could share that shows them what they could look like now, 33 years later. Yeah, so that's it for today.
Okay, yeah, so that's where we're going to end it for this part one. We do have a couple of more theories to kind of get into, or a couple more things that happen in this case. And so we're going to kind of reserve or save that for part two. And so we hope you will join us next time for part two of our conversation on the Springfield Three. And it'll just be Lisa and I again for part two. And so, yeah, until then, you can follow us on all the social media. So we're on TikTok and Instagram and Facebook, Crime Family Podcast. So just search Crime Family Podcast on those apps. You'll find us. Also on YouTube, so you can watch the video versions of all of our episodes on YouTube. Also on Spotify, you can watch the video versions. But we are also on Apple Podcasts, just the audio version at this time. So yeah, that's how you can engage with us or watch our content. You can also send us an email, crimefamilypodcast@gmail.com, and you can send us your case suggestions, your feedback. If you have any thoughts about this case or any other cases we've done, we'd love to get an email from you. So that's crimefamilypodcast@gmail.com. We'll be back next time with part two of the Springfield 3 case. But until then, take care. Bye.
Bye.